Hello, everyone. Welcome to All British Comedy Explained. This is one of our special episodes where we try to do a little interview after the main episode. And this one is following up the fall and rise of Reginald Perrin. And guys, we
try to get somebody connected with the show. You know, we try to get somebody who was involved, who can tell us stories about being on the set. But for some of these older shows, that is tricky.
Because they're all dead. But this time, guys, we are thrilled that David Tennant is on the podcast this week. He really is one of those guys that, as a cliche goes, needs no introduction. But just in case you aren't sure, he's back on our screens later this year in the second series of The Rivals, which I have seen, and it is brilliant. He shot to fame first as Casanova, and then as the 10th Doctor Who. You might have also seen him in Broadchurch, or as Barty Crouch in Harry Potter, or on stage in Macbeth or Hamlet. He's one of the most successful and able actors of his generation, and he's also a fan of old British comedy and this podcast. He agreed with me about my feelings about Monty Python's Flying Circus, so ha ha ha, take that, internet. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podcast, David Tennant.
The Spontaneity Shop presents All British Comedy Explained with Abigoliah Schamaun and Tom Salinsky. This episode, David Tennant.
Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I think, is this the official start, Tom?
Yeah, I think so.
We've officially started.
Great.
David Tennant, we always, when we can, like to do a little interview after we cover an episode.
Yes.
Usually of someone who's
actually connected to the show.
Yeah.
Ideally. But we'll settle on this occasion.
Yeah.
Well, there's none of them left.
That's true.
And so when we realized everyone from the fall and rise of Reginald Perrin has fallen, we were like, well, we better get David Tennant on.
It's the obvious choice. It's the obvious choice.
Yeah.
So thank you for seeing that. Yeah, no, well, I mean, I don't know what insight I have to offer that you haven't already unpicked, but it is a show that I have, well, it's been interesting revisiting it. I have some memories of. They're not, it's not quite the show that I remembered.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so what are the differences between the remembered Perrin and the actual Perrin? I
had quite complicated feelings watching it for the first time, so I'm really curious about how your rewatch went.
I think what I'm remembering is a memory of my parents watching it and watching it with them. And you know that way when you kind of receive something through the prism of grown-ups. I think I was watching it really quite young and not really understanding it. I couldn't have watched it on the first transmission because I'd have been so small. But I think things were repeated so regularly back then, especially the big hits. They were on sort of fairly heavy rotation, weren't they? So I'm imagining I was maybe 9 and my parents would watch it and would love it. I remember the hippo and I remember their coloured phones and I remember the catchphrases. But really, I remember Leonard Rossiter. And that, I think, is why when I then went back and watched more of it as a young grown-up and have now gone back and watched more recently because of this, that's the thing. That's the whole show, really. It's this performance, this kind of fizzing, manic energy in the middle of it, which...
all being done in front of a live audience.
Well, that's because I watched the 2 episodes that you guys watched, and then I went off and watched the whole of series 1 again because I kind of got fascinated by the mechanics of it. That they did that in a 5-day rehearsal, and the amount of words that he speaks, and the rapidity with which he speaks them, just the workload to do that. I wonder if they recorded them in 6-week stretches, 7-week stretches, or
I think they did
gaps.
I don't think so. I think they were back to back.
Weekly rep playing King Lear each week. The amount of work he did, and he's so crisp with it. And
one of the things I noticed just looking at him as an actor, and I'm really interested to get your take on this, is he, to me, steers a very accurate path between respecting every single syllable that's on the page, but also when he needs to, just kind of roughening it up a little bit.
Yes.
So it doesn't sound rehearsed.
Yes.
There are a few little stumbles and misspeaks.
But incredible there aren't more, just because of the sort of amount of work it must have taken. And he's got a precision to him. I mean, he's not just turned up, you know, because sometimes, have you done Yes Minister yet?
No,
No,
that's
we're coming to it.
Oh, okay. Well, there's a little, you can take this out if it's a spoiler, but I rewatched some of them recently, and Nigel Hawthorne, you can tell that he's had to learn it in 5 days. He's kind of clinging on.
I know what you mean.
He's clinging on with his fingernails sometimes. And he's glorious.
See his eyes moving across text that's not there?
No, because I don't think that's not the tradition, is it? They wouldn't have had cue cards or anything like that.
No, but I mean, like, I don't know if you ever.
Oh, you mean searching in space?
When you like memorize a script, but it's not like in your bones yet. So as you're reciting it, you're just kind of looking at a pretend page. Because
yeah. But there's none of that with Leonard Rosser, is there? I mean, he's like a machine. I mean, I believe he wasn't the easiest man to work with. One has heard.
Yes. Have you ever done, I was just thinking about this, David, have you ever done like old-fashioned 5-camera sitcom like that, where you're simultaneously playing to the studio audience and to the cameras?
I've done episodes of.
Right.
I've never done it long-term, and I found it about the most difficult thing to do.
Yeah.
Why
was it so hard? Because
it has all the nerves of a sort of first night of a theatre show, and yet you're sort of you're playing to a camera that's just there, but you can't help but be seduced to play to the audience, and it doesn't feel like you can mess up. Like, you know, you don't have the safety of a sort of single camera filming situation where it feels like you have some kind of agency over it. It feels like that audience is kind of setting the pace, and I've not loved it when I've done it. I found it quite white knuckle, really. That's the other thing. It's very exposing.
Yeah.
And it sort of happens like a live performance. I know you can do second takes and stuff, but you kind of start and you don't stop till the scene has finished. And every scene in Reggie Perrin is him and someone else. I mean, it's sort of a series of two-handers, sometimes three-handers, but he's still got all the words all the time.
Yeah.
Yes.
And people just chip up now and then with a like, right away.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Or their little catchphrase.
Yeah.
But I mean, the rhythm of it is glorious.
It's amazing, isn't it? Just amazing.
But it's mad.
And,
it's not really a sitcom. I mean, obviously it's a sitcom, but it's structured like a drama.
Well, and even the way he acts in it, we talked about this in our record. It's like sometimes, especially with sitcoms, there's a way of acting that almost feels like, that, hi, honey, I'm home. That's a little bit presenting.
Yeah.
Where I feel like all the work he's doing is inside. And like you said, he's just fizzing. There's just this bubble of like unhappiness inside of, maybe that's what he was really like. And so he didn't have to reach that hard to find it.
It is interesting. I mean, clearly a man who had heart troubles and was taken long before his time. I don't know if I can draw a straight line, but you can feel there's a lot of stuff going on inside him all
Dick
the
Van
time.
Dyke, happiest man alive. And
There you
he's
go.
100.
There you go. Still going, still dancing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that darkness that goes through it, I think, is really interesting. We compared it on our recording to The Good Life because they're both about this kind of feeling of being trapped in suburbia. The Good Life is the sunny, optimistic version. And Reggie Perrin is kind of the dark, weird, angry version.
It's about a man having a nervous breakdown, isn't it? I mean, he's in real trouble, the character. And he doesn't shy away from that. I mean, and the writing doesn't shy away from that. I mean, it's quite bleak and quite dark where he, as he crumbles.
And how much of that did you feel when you were watching it at sort of 9-10 years old? Were you just enjoying the catchphrases and the cutaways to the hippos?
I think I was definitely getting something of this very unique energy because I remember being quite transfixed by him and then realizing he was the same man who was on Rising Damp on the other side.
Yes.
And they're similar performances because his energy is so distinctive.
I must say, Miss Jones, I don't much care for this fetish for physical fitness that's going on around here at the moment. You don't need to do exercises, Mitchell. I never do exercises. Look at me.
Yes, well...
Pardon?
If you don't mind me saying so, Mr. Rigsby, I think you could do with a little exercise.
You can't be serious. I'm in superb condition.
What about your back?
There's nothing wrong with my back.
Then why did those two men have to carry you home from the supermarket?
No, that was an isolated incident. Could have happened to anyone. No, I just went down a shade too quickly for some dried peas and just locked.
You ought to be careful, Mr. Rigsby.
But they're very different characters, and there's there's an abyss of pain in Reggie Perrin, which is quite rare for a sitcom, especially back then.
So now that you've gone back and watched it as an adult, does it hit way different?
Oh God, yeah. Yeah, I found it, particularly the early episodes and of series 1, the early episodes and the final episode. It gets a bit more sitcom-y in the middle. Mm-hmm. Like there's a kind of farce episode where there's just lots of people trying to keep. He's trying to have sex with his secretary and he's trying to keep people out of the bedroom, and it's that suddenly it feels like a 1970s sitcom briefly, but the rest of it, and because it's serialized, because it doesn't reset. I mean, that's kind of the rule of sitcom, isn't it? That you kind of have to reset to zero at the start and end of every episode, and there's just none of that going on.
This obviously was my first time seeing it, and I left really conflicted.
Right.
And I thought it was hilarious, but like the darkness in it, I was like, I don't know what I'm confused because I enjoyed it, but my heart hurts. And then I went back and I've watched some episodes since, Tom, and I realized, I was like, oh, I know why it's upsetting. I am Reginald Perrin. Like I have the life of a 1975 40-year-old man who has everything he's worked for. This is everything he wanted, and is now just like, is this it? Is this it?
Yeah.
Why is this it? But yeah, it's I don't know. I feel like
it's quite tense to watch.
Yeah,
it really is.
And seeing it at a point, because he's middle aged and I've just hit the big 4-0. I'll stop mentioning it once I'm over it. But it's so. I don't know. Whenever someone talks about old-timey sitcoms, I always just think of how wholesome they are, and like The Good Life or I Love Lucy or The Dick Van Dyke Show or any of those ones that I watched on repeat growing up. They were just so sweet. And then I watched this, and it's like, I mean, it is like if Mad Men was a comedy. Like, you know, it's just like this unhappy, disgruntled man looking for more and not knowing where to find it. Yeah.
Yes, and he doesn't sweeten that pill, Leonard Rossiter. He leans into the vinegar, which is great. I think that's part of. I was certainly aware when I watched it as a kid that there was something about him that was special, and it might be a bit dark and scary, but I just think he's so unique and brilliant.
Well,
he's amazing, isn't he? He's in 2001 briefly, underplaying as one of the Russian scientists.
Really?
On the lunar base. I know on the space station on the way to the moon.
I have a question for you both. Okay, so Tom, you mentioned that the David Knobs wanted Ronnie Barker to play.
Oh, I mean, that blew my mind.
Now,
yes.
All I know about Ronnie Barker, because the game of the podcast is I know nothing about British comedy, and truly I've not seen his work. But when I was putting together the social media, all I could find is this jovial, happy-looking dude. Yep. And so, was he as happy as I assume he was? Because that would have been a complete tonal shift, right? Am I wrong?
He was a real chameleon.
What would it have been like if Ronnie Barker had done it?
He was a real chameleon, so it's hard to know. His two most famous parts in Open All Hours and Porridge really couldn't be more different.
Yeah.
Young David Tennant was startled to discover that Rigsby and Reginald Perrin were the same actor. But you'd be even more startled to discover that those two characters are the same actor.
I mean, he's a proper character actor who lost himself in.
Oh, cool.
He was a brilliant actor.
He really was.
Okay.
Yeah.
But his energy was much more back foot, even in Porridge, where he's quite quirky and quick. I can't it's hard to imagine Reginald Perrin. I mean, I'm sure he would have found something brilliant in it because it was a fascinating script, but it would not have had that. You wouldn't have had that, oh, he's on the verge of a heart attack at any moment.
No.
Sense, I don't think.
I wonder if he would have done it a bit similar to some of those, fast-talking wordplay monologues that he used to do on the Two Ronnies.
Maybe. Yeah.
He would have done something like that with it, maybe.
Good evening. I'm from the Ministry of Pollution. Now, a lot of people say to me, you're not doing enough about pollution, and I say rubbish. And they say, you're not doing enough about rubbish, and I say pollution. Now, to give you an example of our work, we have selected an area for the disposal of toxic waste, and here it is. Great Britain.
Yes, he'd probably have been slightly more patrician, I imagine, slightly
Yes.
more kind of old school.
But I think he would have been, I think Abigolah's right, he would have been more cuddly. And there are real sharp edges to Len Rossiter's performance.
Yes, he's quite unpleasant. He's quite hard to like, especially when he does the things that he does. And as the series goes on, I mean, he's really cruel to his wife and to all those around him. And but then she gets a bit weird when she knows it's him and pretends it's not him. Towards the end of series 1, where he comes. Have you watched this, Abigoliah?
This part I've gotten up to the secretary coming over and
the farce episode.
Them trying to get it on and it not working.
Right.
To be honest, I was just happy she was into it after watching him fantasize about her for so long. I was like, well, at least she also wanted.
She is surprisingly into it, isn't she? Because she doesn't give a hint of that early on.
Well,
No.
I can't
and then
remember
the
if
next
this is...
episode, it's just like they're just like, well,
like it never happened.
We'll move on.
Yeah.
I can't remember if this is in the episode or whether I cut it out, but I remember telling Abigoliah in episode 1, there's that bit of 60mm film of Reggie's fantasy as they kind of embrace and canoodle on the desk. And I'm told that was Sue Nichols' first day filming on the Reginald Perrin series. So that was essentially how she met Leonard Rossiter.
Right. Well, they always put the sex scenes up front in case you fall out.
Is that
Do
right?
they really? Wait, no, I need to know that. Is that an insight? I need to know this about making...
Well, you'll have to be prepared, Abigoliah, when it happens to you.
I think I'll be okay. I'm very much like the best friend energy. Like, should that acting degree I have ever take off? It's not. It's dead. But should it ever? I know where I belong. I'm the friend, or I'm driver number 2. Like, these are the roles. I can also play computer hacker and barista. This is what I do.
Did any of the other supporting performances stand out for you? Because it is a big ensemble. There's a deep bench of British comedy talent there.
I think they all bring something rather glorious. They're not afforded the range of material, are they? They sort of come on, say their catchphrase, and go off pretty much. But they all do that. They're quite heightened, aren't they? Those other characters. They're quite. They're sort of expanded humans. Which allows Reggie Perrin, I guess, to just sort of play off them all. They all bring very different kind of colours and tones, don't they, I guess? But they all do it very well. Because I started on a bit of a deep dive, I even watched the first episode of Legacy of Reginald Perrin.
Oh, did you?
Where they all come back after he's long gone. And they're all still there.
How was it?
It's not terrible.
Okay, what a ringing endorsement.
No, I know. Well, I mean, it was quite famously a failure, I think, wasn't it? But it's not without charm. It's just a bit. It's looking for a main character.
Mm-hmm.
And what's interesting is Geoffrey Palmer, who plays the brother-in-law, who's got quite a small recurring role in the original series. Mm-hmm. By the time they came to do Legacy, he was, of course, a huge sitcom star in his own right, who had multiple sitcoms that he was the lead in. So he sort of ends up becoming a sort of de facto main character, which means he's not playing the same character that he played in the original Reginald Perrin. He has to become the kind of anchor, really, so all the rest of them can come on and do their catchphrase and sort of shuffle off again.
Yeah.
John Barron is the actor who I remember noticing when I was a kid. It's such an extraordinary performance. And I'd love to know if he turned up on day 1 of rehearsals doing that.
Yes.
or whether that was something that they found. He's CJ.
CJ, yeah.
Because you can see him in Whoops Apocalypse doing a pretty dodgy American accent,
Right.
where he's got some of the same sort of fire.
Right.
So this clearly isn't a complete stretch for him, but just all those little weird details and those little kind of non-pauses. It's so extraordinary.
Yes, he's a proper sort of swivel-eyed lunatic, isn't he? Apparently him and Leonard Rossiter were old friends. So I don't know if...
Oh, that makes sense.
I don't know if Leonard Rossiter brought him in or if it was just a coincidence, but they seem to be... they seem to go way back, yeah.
They really bounce off each other well.
Yeah.
I really liked the son-in-law. When I went on to watch more, I watched the episode where they go to the safari park and Leonard Rossiter is just like, "Why are you like this?" And he's like our children are adults. And he's like, "You're an asshole. Why are you an asshole?" Okay, thanks, Reg. Like,
yeah.
I thought
it feels very 2000s, doesn't it? That character.
Yeah, and he does it in a really lovely kind of understated way. Like, I feel like that's a relationship someone has with in families, that a relationship exists somewhere. You know, I feel like that's really recognizable.
The son, the unsuccessful actor son, who's doing a sort of fringe play.
Yeah.
At the Hen and Chickens or something.
Yes.
I really liked him. But he disappears. I don't know why.
Yeah, well, the son-in-law gets recast, I think, in the third series.
Oh, does he?
They
he's
lose that
back
actor.
in Legacy.
Oh, the original is back, is it?
Tim Priest is back in Legacy.
Okay. Yeah,
I wonder what
good.
happened there.
Yes, not sure.
Maybe he got hooked on something else.
I was telling Abigoliah that you have this extraordinary bench of comedy talent. And most of them are now most famous for being in The Fall and Rise of Reginald Perrin, because that's the show has such an influence.
I'd say with a possible exception of Sue Nichols, I'd say they all.
Well, Rent-A-Ghost for me.
Rent-A-Ghost, absolutely.
Yes.
And now Corey as well.
And then Coronation Street, yeah.
Wait a minute, back up. What's Rent-A-Ghost?
Oh, you've got to get to that.
Is it a comedy?
It's a kids show.
A kids comedy.
So it's not within our rules, but it ran for years.
You've got to do. You could do a whole sub-series of kids comedies.
We could, yes.
Yeah.
But it was about a group of ghosts who would essentially hire themselves out, hence Rent-A-Ghost.
Okay.
By the way,
Nichols played Nadia Popov. It was terrific.
Nadia Popov.
Yes.
Molly Weir as the Scottish witch.
Yes, Hazel the McWitch.
Oh, there you go.
It was essential viewing when I was 6 years old.
Yes, absolutely essential viewing. It was. I wonder if it was great.
This is the thing. We might rewatch it and discover it was actually terrible.
That's the terror, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, I think that's great when you're 6 is always great. Wait, what'd you say, David?
It ran for years, and the cast kept getting replaced, and they brought new people in, and it was a big hit.
Okay, I have to check this
out. I don't know how available it is.
And then doing it every week, and it was a complicated show. It really is pushing the limits. Again, we were fairly startled to notice how much pre-filming was taking place on The Good Life, and remembering, that means that when Penelope Keith walks into shot, she has to remember how she walked out of shot in a shot that was done 3 weeks earlier in a different part of London on film, and try to make it all join up. But this is very complicated, and they're really complicated. Really pushing the envelope.
They sometimes cut to 16mm for one tiny little cutaway, and it's really involved. Yeah, I noticed that I did a show called Broadchurch for a while, which was, and I noticed that Reginald Perrin swam into the sea on the same beach where we discovered the body of
Was that
Danny.
the same beach?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
The beach at Westby, yeah. Took me a couple of episodes to realise I was looking at the same cliff.
Oh, that's fantastic. I don't
know if you know this. This is on my deep dive.
Yeah.
I started looking up on YouTube old interviews with Leonard Rossiter, because I realised I didn't really know what he was like. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't give much away. He's quite inscrutable in real life, or in sort of Pebble Mill at One Life. And he's asked about that scene, about whether it was him that swam into the sea. Do you know this, Tom?
No.
I don't know this, but
so
I
he
was
runs along the
wondering
beach,
if
and
it's him. Yeah, it's
he strips him. He strips
looks like him.
naked, and then he goes down, and under the sort of wedge of the cliff, a stuntman takes over and does the swimming.
really.
So when the stuntman's swimming out, he's presumably cowering naked just out of shot. And the stuntman goes, and they didn't know how to summon him back, so he just goes as long as he can until he finally comes back.
So it's a cowboy switch.
Cowboy switch, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I love that. I love that he was like, "Yeah, I'll get naked. I'll show my ass, but I'm not swimming."
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I wanted to give Abigoliah the full historical context. So I told her about John Stonehouse and also,
Oh, yes.
you might remember Lord Lucan about the same time. So there was this thing about like frustrated men who just wanted to disappear. Do you think that's something that's kind of universal? Have you ever experienced? I don't think I've ever experienced anything quite like that.
This is quite a good interview. If this is the
God, this
one
has
you
got
admit
into
that you
therapy
want to
suddenly.
swim into the sea. When you were on Broadchurch, were you like, I
Yes,
could
did
Reginald
you ever feel the
Perrin
call
this.
of the void?
If I'd realised I was on the same beach, I might have been tempted. I wonder then if they filmed a lot of it down in the West Country. If a lot of the anyway, that's a side issue.
Yeah.
It is an interesting theme, isn't it? It feels very 70s. It feels very lots of people not being able to express themselves particularly well.
Yeah. Do you think it's a particularly male thing? One of the things I think put Abigoliah off it a little bit to begin with. It feels like a very male world and very male concerns.
Yeah, it is. And the women don't get much to do they? It's about a male midlife crisis, I guess, and the specifics of that, which tends to be about a sense of feeling like one has failed or one has peaked, like there's nowhere new to go. It's written from a very male point of view about the male experience, I think, for sure. I felt a bit sorry for Marjorie Yates, who doesn't really seem to. She gets lovely billing in the titles, and then doesn't really have anything to do.
Pauline Yates.
Pauline Yates. Sorry.
Yes. She gets bits and pieces here and there.
Yeah.
I think she probably is the second lead, but there's a big old gap between.
There's a big old gap. Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
There's a big old gap between number 1 and 2 in the call sheet.
That's right. Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, watching it, I felt like I thought it was kind of like a sexist show. I was like this, but when I think I was uncomfortable with his midlife crisis and how unhappy he was, and after I went home, Tom, I did think, I was like, if they had put a woman in that role and she was like, fuck this, I'm gonna go be a pig farmer and I'm gonna sleep with my hot assistant, I'd be like, you go, girl, you live your life, you do your thing, you know?
Well, Bridget Christie's essentially made that show, and it's tremendous.
That's true, yeah.
Exactly. And it's brilliant.
Yeah. But it is a different energy, and we don't feel sorry for Omid Jalili the way we feel a bit sorry for Pauline Yates. We sort of feel he's got what's coming to him.
Yeah.
But Pauline Yates feels a bit more like a victim, which again makes all these dark themes, and yet it's played with such vim, and we can't help laughing at all the catchphrases.
Yeah.
It's a really interesting cocktail.
Well, I guess like that's the thing about a midlife crisis, especially with Reginald Perrin. Actually, nothing is wrong, but for him, everything is wrong. Like he's dissatisfied, but he has the life he wanted to build, and he has the ideal life. He has a good job. He has kids. One became an actor, but we can't win them all. And you know, he's got a nice house, and his wife is lovely and looks after the home and looks after him. And so he has everything, but he's just, I don't know, I guess lost the sense of adventure. So then he runs off and tries to find it.
It felt like series 2 was slightly less bleak. I haven't been able to find the rest of series 2 yet, but
Fun fact, it's all of Reginald Perrin is on YouTube.
Illegally.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But we didn't put it there, so we're fine
So
to
that's
assume
all
it.
right. It was really interesting to learn that I don't know what this makes me think about Leonard Roster, but it did make sense after I watched all of series 1. The idea that it was from a novel, and series 1 is the novel. And then they said, do you want to go again? And Leonard Roster went, only if you write a book first.
Yes.
I thought, I mean, is that the sort of worst leading man behavior or the best leading man behavior? I'm not sure which it is. But it does kind of make sense because it's a very complete, it has an arc.
Mm-hmm.
And it ends in quite an unexpected, again, quite a weird place. But it feels finished. So I can imagine the idea of going again. It made sense to me when I got to the end of series 1 that Leonard Roster would kind of make that demand, because it's quite hard to know how you pick it up again.
Yeah.
Well, I mentioned this in our first episode, but first of all, that as far as leading man, I don't know who can demand that. I think it's pretty cool that he's like, you have to write the book. But secondly, like, Game of Thrones, they thought it'd be finished by the time the series was finished, and it wasn't. And then and then no one was satisfied with the ending because it didn't come from J.R.R. Martin or not, whereas like if the book ended that way, I bet everyone would have been like, hey, that's the text, baby.
Yeah.
But yeah, it kept it from going, I don't know, off a cliff, I suppose. I don't know. But then I guess Knobs also wrote the script. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not like...
But I suppose that also speaks to it not really being structurally a sitcom. It is structurally a drama. And you wouldn't head into series 2 of a drama without having story conferences and deciding where those characters are going. And whereas with a sitcom, you go, they're all back to square one by minute 30 anyway, so we can just plow on.
Yeah.
So I guess that there was a necessity to that, and that maybe that's very wise of Leonard Roster to kind of because on Rising Damp on the other side, presumably they were just churning out another scenario where he's unlucky in love. That was sort of the same story every week.
Yeah, that kind of serialization is quite rare. There are a few. The other big sitcom I remember growing up that did it was Just Good Friends. Do you remember that? Penny and Vince?
Yes.
Jan Francis and Paul Nicholas?
I do remember that. Wasn't that a sort of loop, though? If they got together, they split up. They got together, they split up.
Kind of was, yes. Yeah, but you're still expected to remember at which point in that loop we left off at the end of the previous episode.
Yes.
Yeah. And of course, Reggie Perrin's a loop as well, because he keeps coming back to Sunshine Desserts and faking his own death and coming back and so on and so on.
And then was it a Ben Elton sitcom, Happy Families? That was a series.
Oh yes,
wasn't it?
that was a serial rather than a series. So that was his riff on Kind Hearts and Coronets.
Right.
What's the difference between a serial versus a series? Is it like a standalone?
Yes, it was like a mini-series, essentially. It was a 6-part story. And this is really the topic of another podcast altogether. But according to legend, Red Dwarf owes its existence to Happy Families.
How come?
Because Happy Families was made by BBC Manchester. And it was a Ben Elton sitcom, so they just put in their planning for the next year, Happy Families Series 2. But Ben Elton had only ever conceived of it as a 6-part series. And then what that meant was suddenly there was a little pot of money in BBC Manchester and nobody knew what to do with it. But Paul Jackson, who'd produced Happy Families, remembered the science fiction comedy sitcom script that had already been turned down 3 times by the BBC.
Wow.
And he said, I know what to do with it.
And 26 series later, he was
Exactly.
proved right.
He absolutely was. Yeah, so you'll no doubt hear that story again, Abigoliah, when we cover Red Dwarf.
I can't wait.
Yeah. These are all just names that mean nothing to you, right? These are just things.
I mean, I've gotten
You're picking
used
up scraps,
to
though.
nodding. I know enough. I know enough to go. That. Okay, cool. Here's my question for both of you. I'll start with you, David.
Okay.
If you could play any character in the Rise and Fall of Reginald Perrin, who would you play? And it's okay to say Reginald Perrin.
Well, listen, this is the problem. I mean, that's the part of a lifetime, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it would be like saying, I want to play Columbo instead of Peter Falk. What's the point?
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's telling that they tried. Martin Clunes had a go, didn't he? And
he's a great
Clunes,
actor.
Yeah, of course, Martin Clunes can do no wrong, but it's just when a part is so inhabited by an actor, what can you do? I mean, would you do an impression of him? I mean, you wouldn't be as good as him. So then do you try and do it differently? I'm not actually, what did Martin Clunes do?
He kind of played as Martin Clunes.
As Martin Clunes, right.
Yeah.
I think that's all you could try and do. But Reginald Perrin is that performance. There's lots of lovely stuff around it, but that's the show. So I'd like to do that, but only if I could actually be Leonard Rossiter rather than a cheap imitation of him. So I suppose, I don't know, who else would be fun? Super would be fun. What's he called? Super.
Oh, yes.
That's quite a
David,
nice
is it?
Is it David? I think it is.
Yeah.
But it's pretty much one note, isn't it? I guess.
Yes. Well, you could be great and I'll be super. How about that?
Yeah, okay. That'd be it. Yeah, good. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to think I could pull off CJ, but I don't think I could.
I think you could be a good
I'm either great or super, or I'm the winemaking brother-in-law.
Oh yes, that's quite a good part, isn't it?
And there's a little sort of hint of sadness there as well. In the episode that we watched, he has that moment where he sees somebody enthusiastically buying his terrible wine, and he attempts to confront Reggie with the idea that this might be against the Trade Descriptions Act.
Yeah.
But he just realizes that because his wine is undrinkable, he's going to make a lot of money out of it.
Yeah.
He just has to kind of live with that, be that guy.
Yeah. And that's the thing, that none of the characters are particularly content or particularly likable, really. It's all pretty bold stuff.
And again, going back to when you were watching it as a kid, did it strike you that you were watching something that was really different, or did it seem all of a piece with It Ain't Half Hot Mum and Open All Hours and other things that were...
I think it felt grown up. I think that's how my sort of 9-year-old brain interpreted it. So it felt like I was watching something that was a bit mysterious, and my parents were loving it. So I was aware that there was something special about it. And it was, I think the peculiarity was clear, even if it was a bit inexplicable to me, and I couldn't have defined it that way. I think I was aware it was odder and a bit more grown up and a bit weirder and maybe, yes, a bit darker. And
did both your parents laugh really hard, or just your dad and your mother look concerned?
My dad was always the one who would have laughed loud and hard at sitcoms. So it's interesting. I don't know. I mean, they would have, my dad particularly, but they watched all the sitcoms.
Mm-hmm.
The Good Life would Terry and June, all of them, which are certainly on the more traditional end.
Mm-hmm.
It Ain't Half Hot Mum before we realised how awful it was.
Do you know what? But this again is a podcast for another day. But I will mount a not full-blooded, but at least a partial defence of an awful lot of It Ain't Half Hot Mum.
Well,
I think it's a much more thoughtful show than it can appear at first glance.
You may be right. I'm just thinking of the blacking up, which now is very hard to get around.
Soon?
Not soon, but maybe at some point. But I mean, to be all right. To be fair. They believed they couldn't find an actor from the right background to play the part, and Michael Bates had at least grown up in India and spoke Hindi, which isn't a bad start. Not as good as having someone who doesn't require all the boot polish, to be clear.
I'm going to tell you right now, Tom, you got to edit this whole section out. Where you're like, listen.
I'm putting it in. Come for me.
It was culturally, things were...
Yeah, it was a little clumsy.
Doesn't mean it was right.
Yes, absolutely. But we didn't kind of have these conversations, and it's sort of, because Reggie Perrin is also very white as well as being very male.
White. Yes.
But that's just what television looked like in the 1970s.
Yes. Oh yeah, and the sexual politics aren't great.
Yeah.
But then they're not sort of brushed over. It's all a bit the grubbiness and the inappropriateness of it is not unacknowledged, I think.
No. That was kind of part of it for me. I was like, is this... I couldn't tell if the sexism in it was happening because it's the 70s and that was just like tits are funny, or if it was a comment on like the men in this world and what they're like, like the doctor who just always had porn out and was like,
and is desperate to examine her chest endlessly.
Feeling chesty.
Yeah.
But none of them look like nice guys.
No.
It's such an interesting text. I don't know when the last time I saw a sitcom that really made me feel that both made me laugh and feel as uncomfortable as The Fall and Rise of Reginald Perrin has. Like,
The Office, probably.
Yeah, but not even as much though. But I haven't watched as much of The Office as I have. Maybe we should maybe I think I might need to shift around my shelf of fame a bit, because I have watched now more of The Fall and Rise than I have of other things on the shelf.
Interesting. It's pulled you in.
Yeah, because it was so like, who is he and why is he like this and I guess because I haven't seen it to the end, like, does he ever get his comeuppance, but does he deserve comeuppance, if that makes any sense? Like, because he did try to have an affair, but other than that, he's not like outwardly mean to anyone. Unless...
No. I suppose he's quite mean in the fact that he just ups and leaves.
Yeah.
And then can't stay away. But this is spoilers.
Yeah. Now, I sort of see him as kind of twisting helplessly in the breeze, or like Mickey Mouse in Fantasia going around that whirlpool. He just can't escape. No matter what he does, he just gets sucked further in and feels more and more unhappy with himself. And so I kind of understand his frustration. I too am Reginald Perrin.
Yeah. I think one of the things that made me keep looking up more interviews and reading more Wikipedia pages was they would not make this like this now. If you had that book, you'd make a 6-part comedy drama, single camera. You'd sort of, it wouldn't be as trying so hard to be funny. It would be about, it would be funny, but it would be about it would be about mental decline. It would be about a midlife crisis. Even then, though, it's quite a weird decision to make it as a half-hour sitcom, because it sort of isn't.
Yeah. Yes.
I think the thing is, most like I've said it before, is like, I think it's what Mad Men is based on.
Yeah.
In fact, what I realized when I was watching Reginald Perrin episodes is Joan is the name of his secretary, and Joan is the hot secretary in the office. And in my head, I'm like, they did it on purpose.
Yeah.
They knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
I think Matthew Weiner's secretly a huge fan of 1970s British sitcoms.
Hey, there have been more crazier things happen in the world.
Yeah, it could be the showrunner of Alien Earth apparently is a huge fan of the young ones, and that's why he put Adrian Edmondson in it.
Wow.
So you never know. You never know.
Wow, that's brilliant.
So,
yeah, John Hamm and Leonard Rossiter. I mean, you can barely slip a bus ticket between them.
Exactly right.
In your research, in your deep dive, David, did you find any other interesting tidbits about Leonard Rossiter, the man?
There was I found a bit of a documentary that, but I don't know from when, which had various talking heads talking about sort of how marvelous he was. John Barron features on that actually, and talks about how they were old friends. I think he's even described as old friend in the chyron underneath. And you do get a sense of people who he was clearly hugely impressive. I mean, I'm reading between the lines. I don't know, but you also get the impression of people who never necessarily felt they knew him that well. And his daughter comes on and is full of sort of pride and love for him, clearly, but very quickly gets to sort of going. I mean, I know he could be quite difficult. I mean, I understand that maybe it wasn't, but that's because he was a perfectionist.
Yeah.
So you do get the impression of someone who was complicated, I imagine.
Yeah, perfectionist is one of those slightly tricky words, isn't it?
Yes.
Because there are two kinds of perfectionists. The one who wants to make everything better, and the one who is just using it as cover for being an arsehole.
Yeah, quite. And I mean, he clearly is a huge talent. There's a bit. Have you got to the bit? Abigoliah, where he does this speech at the trade conference.
No, I was leading up to that because CJ keeps being. This is the one where CJ's like, "Do you have your notes? Do you?" Yeah. I haven't gotten that far yet. I annoyingly had to go away and do work.
Come on. It's a masterclass because it sort of descends into gibberish.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that speech in Waiting for Godot when Lucky finally talks. Do you know that?
Yeah.
And it's just this sort of torrent of words that kind of shift like starlings, but it's magnificent, and you can tell he's in control of every moment, whilst telling the story of a man who is absolutely losing every point of control he's ever known. I think he was a real sort of rare, unique talent, but it might not have been that much fun to be in too closer contact with. It's interesting because Rising Damp, which is sort of the other thing that I knew him from, that he's probably most famous for, was so much of a gang show. I mean, he was still number one probably, but it was very shared, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's him and Francis de la Tour and Don Warrington,
and Richard Beckinsale, and they all come out sparring. There's nobody who's kind of just coming in and delivering a catchphrase neatly for the master to play with, which is kind of what Reggie Perrin is. And I wonder which he preferred.
Interesting.
I mean, we'll never know.
No. I mean, I can hazard a guess. Because he was doing them at the same time, basically.
Yes.
The other amazing thing.
Wait, they were on the air at the same time?
Yeah.
As in he would
have spent 9-10 weeks on one and 9-10 weeks on the other. And that would be his year. And then maybe a tour.
Yeah. I mean, no wonder he had a heart attack. That's a workload.
Yes.
Really is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, David, you're one of the most hardworking, busiest actors in the country.
Well, I mean, I was watching Reggie Perrin and go, I don't know if I'd be able to keep up with that schedule. That's a lot of words to learn in 5 days.
Yeah, and you don't have the pressure on something like Rivals of doing it in front of a live studio audience. No! But still, I mean, they give you a few old pages there.
Yes, but you know, we're coming to the end of filming series 2 now. It's been 9.5 months. They did that in 6 weeks.
Yes.
Since we're on to your work, David, I need to tell you a little story about how some of the first things I've seen you do. Tom has heard me say this. So I went to uni in New York for musical theater, and the only thing more insufferable than a musical theater nerd is a musical theater nerd who also loves Shakespeare. These are the worst people. They are my friends, especially when you're in uni and you haven't done anything yet, but you know it all. And one time I lived in a 6-bedroom apartment with my other college mates, and I walk into the living room and I was like, "What are you guys watching?" And they're like, "We're watching David Tennant in Hamlet. We're watching David Tennant in Hamlet." Wow. And I was like, oh, okay. And remember, David, this is very important. I know nothing about British culture, even though I live here. And they're like, "It's David Tennant. He's the doctor." And I was like, "What kind of medicine does he practice?" And, like, "Sit down." And so we're watching it, and it gets to the part where you're like digging the grave.
Oh yeah.
And I just turned to them and I was like, "God, this had to be exhausting to film." And they go, "It's a 3-hour play. He did it for 3 hours. 3 hours. Can you imagine?" Like, I couldn't appreciate how hard you had worked as Hamlet. And I was just like, okay. It's brilliant. He's brilliant. It's wonderful. Wow. But yeah, I oh my God, they were so mad when I was like, "This had to be exhausting." And they're like, do you know what he did for this? Do you know who he is?
It's very kind that they thought that, but I still think that Reginald Perrin schedule would have been harder. I really do. I mean, he has torrents of words. And
there's a fair few words in Hamlet, but at least it's the same words every night.
And you get 6 weeks to rehearse it and to learn one version. He had to do one a week, scrap it, move on to the next. And the speed that he goes at, he talks faster than you can think. And if you're going to, that means you have to learn it sort of 3 times as well if you're going to speak that quick.
And then really articulate it.
Really articulate it.
And as we were saying, I think the genius is he goes at that speed and he's able to make it sound spontaneous.
And mark all the changes of thought. And I mean, the way he flits between, the way he sort of, go down a side alley and come back again. I think I'm just a bit in awe of him, I think.
And I'd love to know how much of that was carefully worked out and rehearsed, and how much of it was how he feels. Like he knows the lines, he knows where he's got to get to, but he doesn't know where those little stumbles are going to come.
Yeah,
because I can imagine it working either way, but I don't know what his.
He's got a slight.
Exactly.
Sort of Bruce Forsyth kind of dribble into line sometimes, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But there's always a reason for it. There's always a sort of moment of he's retabulating, and. God,
and it's one of the arts of a brilliant actor, particularly a brilliant comic actor, to make things that are carefully rehearsed seem spontaneous.
Yeah.
You may have seen that footage of Tommy Cooper doing one of his routines where he's swapping hats to play different characters and getting increasingly confused and muddled. And you can see him doing it on TV in the 60s, 70s and 80s. And they cut them together and the 3 performances are identical.
Oh, really?
No matter how much of a mess it looks, that mess has been painstakingly worked out.
So every fumble is meticulous. Yeah.
It's got to be so muscle memory by that point, And
I suspect, but it's nothing more than a suspicion, that with then Rossiter, it wasn't identical every single time if they had to go back and do retakes. It feels so organic, but it could be. It could be.
Just the fact that he'd only just rehearsed it, I would have thought there must have been a certain amount of spontaneity to it. But it does feel like someone who knows exactly where the turns in the road are, which is why it's sort of exhilarating to watch, because he's so in control of it, isn't he?
Yeah. That, I think, is going to bring us somewhat close to the end. We do have a couple of questions we'd like to finish on.
Yeah.
Unless you have anything else that, as Deborah says on The Guilty Feminist, is there anything that you came to say that you didn't get to say?
I don't think so. I wasn't really expecting to end up doing this and being an expert on Reginald Perrin, because I'm not. But I'm very glad that you asked me, because I've so enjoyed rediscovering it.
Yeah.
And reacquainting myself with the 9-year-old who sat feeling slightly giddy and not really understanding why this series was so exciting. And it's made me remember sort of sitting and watching telly with my parents. It's been very delightful.
We've loved having you on. So our thank you to you is because we're a new podcast. We're just getting going. We can't pay guests, but what we do say is...
Surprise!
Sorry. If there is a charity you support which you'd like our listeners to donate to, then this is your opportunity to plug it. And we can put a link in our show notes.
Well, the Accord Hospice in Paisley was very important to both my parents. Unfortunately, it's where my mum died, but they both raised funds for it all their... towards the end of their lives. So as this has a link to them, the Accord Hospice would be a nice place to honour.
Lovely. And we've talked about quite a few other shows, and we hope this podcast of ours is going to run for a while. What else should we be watching? There are some big hitters we're definitely going to check off at some point, like Yes Minister. Are there some more obscure shows that you think deserve a second airing?
Well, one that I confess to having a little skin in the game, because I was in one episode.
Okay, that's allowed.
Okay. I wonder if you've considered Ramsay Nesbitt.
Oh, yes. No, I hadn't up till now, but I remember it being on.
Which is a Scottish sitcom that ran for quite a long time, quite a number of series. And again, it sort of exists around a slightly transcendental central performance, which was Gregor Fisher, who was Ramsay Nesbitt. Ramsay Nesbitt it's a very working class sitcom, very Glasgow. Rab was in a sort of string vest and had a bandage on his head, and was a sort of he was a kind of soothsayer, really. I mean, he wasn't. He was a drunk, but he would kind of a lot of it. Gregor would address the camera and do long monologues, which were always surprisingly kind and progressive. Rab, who's this sort of chaotic, very male, working class Glaswegian. So you might expect him to have a certain set of values, and actually, for a sitcom that was, early 90s, I suppose, quite a long time ago now, had rather a progressive bent to it. It was very traditional in lots of ways, quite music hall, quite pantomime, quite broad, but with a sort of tenderness and a wisdom to it that I think makes it elevated it above what it might have been.
Oh, that's
so
great.
I suggest that.
That's definitely going on the list.
I mean, I'm in one episode playing a transsexual barmaid, which is not something, which is not progressive casting.
Oh no!
And not probably how you would choose to cast that role now.
Nor a role you choose to play.
But the redeeming thing about that is a man transitioning to live as a woman in the early 90s in a sitcom on the BBC. You might expect the jokes to not have aged well. But Rab is very, Rab and Davina, my character, have a very, they understand one another, and he understands the journey that she is on in a very 21st century way, which is rather touching, actually. There's still quite a lot of jokes about boobs and cocks, but
yes.
I don't think unless I haven't checked.
But that's
so
just
forgive me, but I don't. Yeah. I think it's aged okay.
Okay.
Well, when we cover
was that your first telly or not quite?
It was the first telly that meant anything to anyone in my family.
Okay.
Because Rhapsody Nesbitt was a big deal, so it felt like you're an episode of Rhapsody Nesbitt.
Oh, maybe this acting.
Maybe this is going to work out after all.
Maybe you'll do it. Well, when we cover it, we'll have to have you back on as
I would be honoured
as our guest again.
But you need to talk to Gregor because it is one of those performances that is, he just like Leonard Rossiter. Where an actor and a part just come together and something special happens.
Say, what's it called?
Rhapsody Nesbitt.
Rhapsody Nesbitt.
And the other one where are you going to do One Foot in the Grave?
Oh, at some point, yes.
Yeah.
No immediate plans to, but yes.
As Victor Meldrew is another one of those moments where a part just finds the person that was born to play it.
Yeah.
Actually, I have one more question, sort of similar to the if you could play anyone in Fall and Rise. But David, is there a sitcom that you would love to be in? It could be already done with sitcom or one out that you're like, man, I would love to be a part in that.
Oh, I don't know. I do have, when I've had to, and I've only ever done it on stage, but I do love the discipline and the kind of euphoria of a real proper farce. You know, a real sort of, that when the doors slam open and shut at exactly the right moment. And I do love the kind of the particular technique of it, the particular the precision of it is so delicious. I'd quite like to do something like that, but maybe that's, I don't know. It's hard to sell that on television in quite the same way as you can do in a theater, really.
Yeah. But in a theater, like Lend Me a Tenor comes to mind, or Noises Off, stuff.
Noises
like that.
Off, yeah.
Noises Off is great.
It's just the sort of epitome of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or there's an incredible door slam in and out of doors scene in the first Marx Brothers movie, The Coconuts, which of course they did on stage.
Right.
And the filming, because it was filmed in 1929, the filming's a bit primitive, but you get a sense of just how electric that would have been for exactly that reason.
Yeah.
It's two adjoining hotel rooms, each with a door upstage.
Right.
And people are coming in and out the whole time as someone's trying to steal a necklace. It's
right.
Beautiful.
Did he go? Who? Anybody? Get out! Oh, everybody's fighting me!
It's sort of what Fawlty Towers did.
Yes,
exactly. I suppose that's quite close to full-on farce, isn't it?
Yeah.
But again, you don't want to go, I'll reboot Fawlty Towers.
No.
Because I could give a better Basil Fawlty. Watch this.
Well, with that idea now firmly in everyone's imaginations. David Tennant, thank you so much for joining us.
It's been really good fun.
Oh, thank you.
Sorry I'm not an expert, but I'm an enthusiast.
That's all we asked for in the end.
He's such a joy. Just enthusiasm for this pours out of him. He's such a delight to talk to.
He's so easy to talk to. I'm going to be honest. It's we recorded this one later than we usually do our other podcasts, and I have had trouble sitting down and focusing today because I'm like, I'm going to talk to David Tennant. I'm so nervous, but he's so disarming and wonderful. And what a mensch. He's an absolute mensch.
He is, yeah, a complete delight. And I should say, yes, it's true that I wrote and said, would you like to come on the podcast? But I did that because he brought up the podcast to me when he didn't need to, and he knew what that might lead to.
Okay, so yeah, we've kept this under wraps, but has that screenshot gone to every single one of my friends and my family? Absolutely. So guys, Tom was at an event for the Guilty Feminist podcast, of which he is a producer on, and David Tennant was there. And without saying anything, David Tennant, the doctor himself, walked up to Tom Salinsky and goes, I really enjoy your podcast. And then I'll say it again. He goes, I found myself nodding along and agreeing to what Abigoliah had to say about Monty Python's Flying Circus. And man, I was going to a gig. I was on a train and it was raining and you sent me that. And I was like, oh, we have the best podcast ever because David Tennant listens to it.
Yes, what more seal of approval could you possibly ask for? He's the loveliest man. He's a brilliant actor. And part of me would like to see his interpretation of Reginald Perrin, but a bigger part of me thinks he's right. That is an iconic performance that can never be replicated, and you're kind of on a hiking to nothing if you try.
Yeah, but one could argue it's been so long since Reginald Perrin did it that there is room for someone to try to do it again.
Yeah. I mean, he was not the first Hamlet. Let's be clear about that.
Yeah. But he was a very good Hamlet.
He was a very good Hamlet.
As we've already done the episode, so you've listened to I've seen his Hamlet. It's a great Hamlet.
Yeah. All right, lovely stuff. So next time we are going to be... What are we going to be doing next? Is it Hancock?
Yeah, it's Hancock.
Yeah. So next time, I'm afraid, more misery and pain, but we're going all the way back to the early 60s.
The show is lovely.
With Tony Hancock.
More misery and pain. It's a very funny show, guys. Yeah. It's a very funny show, and we enjoyed it. Do you want to tell them real quick about our Patreon since
good
we got
point.
him here?
So we started the Patreon because we're greedy and because we've been giving this podcast away for free for far too long. It will continue to be free, but if you would like to pay us £3 a month, then you can get ad-free episodes if the ads are annoying to you. If you want to give us £5 a month, you get little bonus extra conversations accompanying every episode.
And I know Tom said that we're being greedy, but I'm going to level with you guys. It's just Tom and I doing this podcast. Tom does all the research for the episodes. He edits the podcast, puts it together. We record it in his house.
You do all the social stuff,
I do all the
reels.
social media. And let me tell you, it takes time to put the clips together, guys. I would like to get paid for it like the job I am treating it.
Yes, absolutely. But if you can't afford to or don't want to, that's fine. We'll continue to make this podcast for free because we enjoy doing it so much.
Yeah, we really do. And we appreciate that you listen to it. And if the Patreon's not your thing right now, just thanks for listening and feel free to tell a friend about the podcast. We'd appreciate it. Till next time.
I'll see you back here very soon.
I look forward to it.
Bye for now.
Bye.
You have been listening to All British Comedy Explained with Abigoliah Schamaun and Tom Salinsky. It was a Spontaneity Shop production for the internet. Find us online at allbritishcomedy.com, join our Facebook group, sign up to our mailing list, or follow us on Instagram or TikTok. Join us next time for Season 2, Episode 5, Hancock's Half Hour.